ascending basketball and making it a bigger platform for women's sports.
Exactly, and you have to respect Clark for not roasting Reese back, and saying oh, why'd you trash talk me? Because like you said, she was doing it too, and it's really just about the sport. If you don't want to be taunted, then just play better.
Well, look, I get the Caitlin Clark thing. You do reap what you sow to some extent, and she had been showing up players all tournament long. And look, she backed it up because she played well. Angel Reese got the one up on her. I just think for me, she was upset by the way Caitlin Clark was guarding South Carolina, which, again, if South Carolina has an issue with that, let South Carolina be the ones to retaliate. I don't see why just because both teams play in the SEC, you need to show up a player who, from as far as I understand, didn't do anything to disrespect you or your teammates.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was a lot of drama in the women's tournament, but we'll move to the men's now. The NCAA Men's National Championship game topped off a tournament like no other. It was UConn standing alone as champion by the end of the night.
Hurley and the Huskies have their dreams come true.
The 4-seed Huskies bested 5-seed San Diego State 76-59 in Houston. The Aztecs showed some fight, but UConn was overwhelming, just as they were all tournament long. Their average margin of victory in 6 tourney games was 20 points. This year's championship game ended in a blowout, as UConn held San Diego State to just 32% shooting from the field. UConn became the first 4-seed to win it all since Arizona back in 1997. And it might be time to start calling UConn a blue blood school for men's basketball. The Huskies now have 5 national titles in program history, all of which have come after 1999. That's also the most of any school in that time period. Dan Hurley's squad also posted UConn's largest championship game win ever. So obviously the championship game wasn't all that exciting, but we really had some great moments throughout the tournament. What were y'all's favorites?
I would say the UCLA-Gonzaga game in the Sweet 16. Honestly, the only complaint that I would have of it is that it was in the Sweet 16. These two blue blood programs duking it out, a 2-seed versus a 3, and legitimately back-to-back incredible shots to flip the lead one way and back to the other. And then, of course, you get a long three-pointer from Amari Bailey, followed by Gonzaga getting one from Julian Strother. He has been... It was an incredible shot, legitimately from the logo against two teams that had national championship aspirations, the world watching. It was thrilling from start to finish.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go with the number one upset of the tournament, Fairleigh Dickinson taking down number 1 seed Purdue. It's just the ultimate David versus Goliath. You had the shortest team in Division I basketball going against Big Ten Player of the Year, Zach Edey, 7'4", and they just made it happen. It was just pure grit and will and great coaching.
My favorite part of the tournament has to be the way San Diego State got in. Although I loved all the upsets throughout the tournament, seeing the buzzer beater against Florida Atlantic was definitely one of my highlights. Butler scored with 2 seconds left in the game. He wasn't having a tremendous game, but that he showed up when he meant to show up. Bradley also had an amazing game for San Diego State with 21 points. And honestly, I think that was just so thrilling going into the championship.
Yeah, I would say for me, it would be the first round game, Furman versus Virginia. That was such a back and forth game. I don't think many people were expecting Furman to win, but for Pegues to hit that 3, it just brought, it made me jump up and down when he hit it, because I was the only one in my family bracket that had Furman advancing, and I was just so happy.
Very good call by you. And I'll say the thing that all of these moments have in common is that the college game facilitates, especially in a tournament like this, upsets like this to happen. 1 seeds never go down in the first round in the NBA. You take a look also at the UCLA game. 8-point comeback in the final minute of the game just for UCLA to take the lead and then have it stolen back away from them. The Hail Mary pass in the Furman-Virginia game that set up the game-winning 3. The big second half comeback San Diego State had. The amateur and college nature of it gives teams opportunities to do really, really special things off the mistakes of their opponents, and it's what makes it an amazing tournament.
It was a fun tournament and a fun basketball season, but now let's head over to baseball season. USC baseball continues to impress as they now hold a 17-10-1 record after shutting out Utah in 2 of 3 games last weekend. The Trojans headed to Utah in hopes to bring home their 5th series win of the season. Not only did USC take 2 of 3 games in the series, but they shut out Utah in both of their wins. In the first game, Tyler Stromsburg pitched all 9 innings to give USC the 4-0 win. The next day, a combination of pitchers, including Caden Aoki and Josh Blum, helped secure the 10-0 victory. Offensively, Luca DiPaolo had himself a game, snagging 3 RBIs, 2 hits, and 2 runs. The Trojans did walk away with one 8-3 loss in the third game of the series. Yesterday, the Trojans found success in the 5th and 6th innings to give them an 11-9 win over Loyola Marymount. Cole Gabrielson secured himself 3 RBIs after his double in the 6th, but the stats were spread out throughout the lineup, as 9 different USC players had hits. USC will begin their next 3-game series tomorrow against the San Diego State Aztecs. The Aztecs are on a 4-game win streak after sweeping New Mexico last weekend. Pancho Ruiz leads the offensive effort with 31 hits so far this season. Pitcher and outfielder TJ Fontaine also stood out for the Aztecs. Together, the 2 stars have 50 RBIs this season. The Trojans already have 5 series wins on the season. What do they need to do to get a 6th this weekend?
Well, frankly, just keep pitching. That was the formula against Utah. And you take a look at Friday's game. In today's era of pitch count and strikeouts and walks, the fact that anybody is able to throw a complete game shutout should gather everyone's attention. And Tyler Stromsborg, once conference play has started, has just been outstanding. Had a rocky start to his year, but in conference play in his last 3 starts, an ERA below 2. At the same time, Caden Aoki starting to build some length. He was not a weekend starter entering the season. He earned the spot in the Saturday slot, pitched a season-high 4 innings last weekend against Washington State. This past weekend, season-high 5 innings, shutout ball. The Trojans are really getting it from the starting pitchers right now, and if that continues, they're a dangerous baseball team.
Yeah, and I have to agree. It's the starting pitching. It's just such an emphasis when you can get guys going in, eating up innings, getting late into games, and it just puts relief on your relief pitchers. They're not pitching as much throughout the course of a season. So I think that's really the key, and we've seen kind of inconsistent pitching to start the year from the Trojans, but the offense has just been firing on all cylinders. So I think if they keep that up in terms of pitching, they'll be good to go.
Starting pitching is important, but also I would say the bullpen is also important. I mean, Clark has been solid as a closer. He leads the team with 4 saves. But I think they still need to figure out some parts in the bullpen, towards the later innings. We saw it in LMU. They almost gave that game away because they just couldn't find someone to close out the game until the last minute when LSU was closing in.
Yeah, USC needs to continue to lean on their offense, though. They've been doing tremendous throughout the season. Austin O'Verne and Nick Lopez both batting over 300. If USC continues to lean on to that offense, I think that's where they will really find success. Yeah,
to lean on your bullpen point, I think the biggest thing is when you get length from your starters, you don't have an LMU situation. In that Tuesday night game, Jaden Agassi really did not give them any length at all, couldn't get out of the second inning, and then you need 5-6 different bullpen guys to come in for you, and if one of them has a bad night, it can be a disaster, and that's what we saw in that 9th inning. Felt a little bit like that scene out of Moneyball where they're coming back from that 10-0 lead, and you're like, oh, wait, hold on, this is a game again, but USC winds up holding on, so all's well and ends well. Well, with the college basketball season in the rearview mirror, the sports calendar flips to a tradition unlike any other. The 2023 Masters begin at Augusta National tomorrow. Scottie Scheffler enters the tournament as the odds-on favorite to put on the green jacket and currently ranks number 1 in the world golf ranking. Rory McIlroy ranks 2nd and looks for his first Masters win and his first major win in 8 years. Jon Rahm sits in 3rd place and Patrick Cantlay is in 4th. Max Homa, who entered the year ranked 17th, rounds out the top 5. Scheffler spoke to the media about how his preparation changes as the defending champ.
Going into the tournament, I tried to get a little bit of the memories and stuff from last year out of the way as early as I could, and so that's why I played 18 on Sunday. But as far as the week has gone, just normal stuff. I mean, I have dinner plans tonight, which is pretty fun. Last year I was sitting at home eating dinner, so the dinner this year will be a bit more special.
This Masters may be one of the most dramatic in recent memory, as it is the first time that LIV golfers will be competing against PGA players in golf's premier tournament. Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, and Patrick Reed will all face off against the pros who have spent months criticizing their departure. There were no reports of incidents breaking out at the Champions Dinner last night, but tensions may still run high over the course of the weekend. There's no shortage of storylines for the weekend, but who do you see taking home the green jacket?
I got to go with Jon Rahm. I think he's putting so well right now, and that short game is really huge, especially at Augusta. Those greens are not easy. Obviously, the whole course is difficult, but I really think he's locked in right now. He's got some recent wins as well in major tournaments, so I think Jon Rahm is the guy.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I mean, he's not the favorite in the tournament, but in 4 of the 5 last Masters, he's finished in the top 10, and he already has 3 wins in 9 starts this season, he's coming in the top 10 in 6 of those events.
Call me crazy, but I'm taking Tiger. He showed everyone up in 2019. He took some time off in March to prepare for the physical aspect of the tournament and the Masters. And I think he's going to take it the way he did in 2019. He says mentally he's still there. His swing is still sharp. I'm going to take Tiger.
Well, I'll take a guy we haven't mentioned yet, but has won the Masters before. Give me Jordan Spieth. He won in 2015, and Augusta has been very good to him. He's had multiple second-place finishes, multiple third-place finishes, and the last time he had a finish outside the top 20, he followed up with a third-place finish. Last year, he did not make the cut. I see a big bounce back for Jordan Spieth.
Well, to that, I'll give you a horns down, but we'll have to move on and get to some other USC sports. USC had a busy weekend. Here's a rapid-fire recap to get you caught up on the latest Trojan Athletics news. In football news, USC secured a marquee commitment in 5-star prospect Deuce Robinson. The tight end from Pinnacle High School in Phoenix puts the Trojans' 2023 freshman class at number 7 nationally, according to 247 Sports.
Up in NorCal, women's lacrosse split its games against the Bay Area schools. The Trojans took down Cal 11-6 Friday and fell to Stanford 15-12 Sunday, just their first conference loss this season.
Back in LA, women's water polo moved its winning streak to 9 games with a 14-3 win over San Jose State. The victory took place on April Fool's Day, but this Trojans team is no joke. They've had just 1 loss in 22 games on the season.
And beach volleyball isn't playing around either. The Trojans went undefeated in the East meets West Invitational over the weekend. The closest match came against Florida State, where USC won 3-2. USC's Audrey and Nicole Norse won Pac-12 Pair of the Week after the Twins went 3-0 as a pair in the tournament.
Well, that's all we have for this episode of Sports Scene. Join us next week for baseball updates and a preview of USC's 2023 football roster. From everyone here at Annenberg Media, I'm Camardella. Have a great rest of your week.